Last week, my wife sat in front of me and said she wanted an open relationship.
Not because she was unhappy, but because she already had someone else in mind.
My wife came home one evening with an expression I just couldn't read, like she was rehearsing something over and over in her head. She sat across from me, her arms crossed, and she wouldn't even look at me. I asked her, "Hey, is everything okay?" She let out this huge, dramatic sigh, as if my very existence was exhausting her. Then she said it. The words that send a chill down any husband's spine. I've been thinking a lot about our relationship. My stomach immediately tightened. You just know nothing good ever starts with that sentence. Then she dropped the bomb that flipped my entire world upside down. She said she wanted an open relationship. I just stared at her, completely stunned, thinking this had to be some kind of sick joke. It wasn't. She told me she needed freedom and excitement and space to explore other connections. My mind was reeling. I asked her, "Then why did you marry me if you wanted to be with other men?" She replied that marriage shouldn't mean limiting yourself. So I asked the next logical question, "Why am I not enough for you?" Her answer cut deeper than I ever expected. She said I was too predictable. As if that wasn't painful enough, she then casually added that if I didn't agree, she'd consider divorce. She said it like she was talking about throwing away a used coffee cup. At that point, I had to ask the obvious. "Are you already seeing someone else?" She said no, but her eyes screamed yes. I told her I deserved the truth. Be honest with me. Finally, she admitted there was someone she was curious about. Curious, what a strange word to use for what was clearly an infatuation. I asked who he was, but she refused to tell me. In that moment, I realized that the safety and trust in our marriage were already gone. They had packed their bags and left long before this conversation even started. I told her I needed time to think. She looked so relieved, almost smug, like she was sure I'd eventually cave and agree to her terms. She kissed my cheek and said she hoped I'd make the right choice. That night, sleep was impossible. I just lay there, her words echoing in my mind, replaying the scene over and over. Freedom, excitement, predictable. I knew she only wanted the so-called open relationship for one reason. She had already checked out of our marriage. She was just looking for a guilt-free way to pursue her affair. The next morning, she left early, claiming she had to run some errands. But a quick check of her phone's location told a very different story. She was at a cafe all the way across town, a place she never ever went to by herself. A knot formed in my stomach. I knew I had to see for myself. When I got there, I saw her, and then I saw him. A man I recognized from photos of her office parties. They were sitting close. Way too close to be just friends. They were laughing together, and then I saw her hand on his. The shock wasn't nearly as painful as the confirmation of my worst fears. It was real. I took a picture from my car, my hands shaking slightly, and drove home in complete silence. I didn't confront her right away. I needed to be calm and collected, not broken and emotional. I wanted to handle this on my terms. When she finally came home, she was acting all cheerful and bubbly. She hugged me as if she hadn't just spent her morning flirting with another man. Then she asked, "So, have you made your decision?" I looked her straight in the eye and told her yes. Her own eyes lit up, a triumphant little spark in them, like she'd just won the lottery. I told her I agreed to the open relationship. For a split second, she froze, completely surprised. Then a slow, wide smile spread across her face. She told me I wouldn't regret it. Oh, but she was wrong. She was the one who was going to regret this. The next week was a blur of self-improvement. I started hitting the gym hard, I updated my entire wardrobe, and I worked on every single thing she had called predictable. I became more spontaneous, more outgoing. I didn't tell her what I was planning, of course. I let her think I was just adjusting to our new arrangement. She started spending more and more time out with her friends, which was just code for them. I never confronted her about it. I didn't need to. She announced her guilt every time she walked through the door smelling like a different man's cologne. Meanwhile, I started talking to someone new myself. A coworker who had always been incredibly kind and respectful. Someone who seemed genuinely interested in me, but whom I'd always kept at a professional distance because I was a married man. But now, things were different. The rules had changed. My wife noticed the shift in me almost instantly. The first time she saw me smiling at my phone, she asked who I was talking to. I just smiled back and told her I was exploring my freedom, just like she wanted. The color drained from her face. She asked if I was serious. I told her I was just following the new rules that she created for us. Suddenly, she was demanding to know who it was. I just shrugged and asked why it mattered. We're in an open relationship now, remember? For the very first time since this whole nightmare began, she looked genuinely afraid. The woman who craved freedom so badly suddenly couldn't stand the thought of me having it too. About a week later, her newfound confidence completely shattered. She came home one night crying her eyes out. She said things felt different between her and the other guy. He wasn't texting her back as much. It turned out he got what he wanted from her and was already moving on. Funny how that works. I didn't comfort her. I just looked at her and said, well, that's the risk you take with open relationships, isn't it? She begged me to close the relationship, to go back to how things were. To go back to normal. I told her that once you open a door like that, it's not so easy to just shut it again. That's when I placed the signed divorce papers on the table in front of her. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Why?" I told her, "You wanted options." "Well, now you have them?" "They just don't include me." She started sobbing, saying she never expected to lose me. I just shook my head. Choices have consequences. She begged and pleaded for one more chance, but my chances had run out. I had already given her enough. And with that, I walked away from the marriage she had so carelessly destroyed, feeling lighter and freer with every single step. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you've ever been through something similar, know that you are not alone, and choosing yourself is the bravest thing you can do. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.